up next is our feature comic of the night, Mr. Jordan Parker, my right-hand man. You ready, Jordan?
Sure am. All right, everybody. Jordan Parker here. How you guys doing? The few people who have kept their microphones on. Hello. So I'll tell you a bit about me. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I grew up in California, and I spent a couple years here in Oklahoma. I live just outside of Oklahoma City in a city called Edmond, a little suburb. And I decided to leave the practice of law and move to Oklahoma City to pursue stand-up comedy.
Oh, no.
Which is not a joke. That is just an accurate description of my misguided life choices. And telling people you're moving to Oklahoma to pursue stand-up comedy, it's like telling people you're moving to New Orleans to pursue sobriety. I mean, yeah, you could do that, but Jesus, are you taking the path of most resistance? And a lot of people, especially my, left coast friends, they like to look down on Oklahoma and say, why on earth would you go to Oklahoma? That's flyover country. And I'm like, hey, Oklahoma has a lot to offer. For example, my parents live here and don't charge me rent, and student loans are a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
If the state of Oklahoma, though, if that was a person, I would have to say it's clearly depressed, going through the motions, and should be immediately placed on suicide watch. Because I found out that, you see, Oklahoma's old state motto, it used to be, Oklahoma is okay, which is better than the runner-up slogan, Oklahoma, lower your expectations. And nowhere is this depressing mentality clearer than the fact that your two major airports, Wiley Post and Will Rogers, this is true, are named after people who were famously killed in airplane crashes. I don't even know how you do that. This is your captain speaking. We are on approach to Oklahoma City. The weather outside is anywhere between God smiting us with golf ball-sized hail and tornadoes or 100-degree heat. We honestly don't know. There's no way to predict. As we get ready to touch down at Will Rogers Airport, I'd like everyone to remember this is something Will Rogers cannot say. So count your blessings, everyone. And Oklahoma, it's been changing me. I've been here for about 2 years. I'm staying here temporarily, looking to head back west, but I'm here for a little bit. And it's been changing me in ways that sometimes I don't like. Like, for example, I now use y'all unironically. And my California friends make fun of me for that. And, look, I'm a proficient Spanish speaker. And let me just say, it's not my fault that English doesn't have a less hillbilly ustedes. Goddamn, no Spanish speakers here? All right, well, that's fine. So there's a big debate about Oklahoma because it's right above Texas. And a lot of people ask, is it the South or the Midwest? And this is a real debate. And I finally figured it out. You see, I was at Walmart, like all stories involving Oklahoma do. I was at Walmart and I saw a young woman wearing a t-shirt that said, real women marry assholes. And I was like, oh, it's the South. That finally. I guess Walmart had sold out of its I Take Punches Well collection. And, it was just the door officer. Boy, domestic violence. Yeah. No. Another way I know Oklahoma is the South is the number of people I have witnessed here with Monster Energy drink tattoos on their arms, legs, and even neck. Where before Oklahoma, the number was 0. Yeah, so I live in Edmond, which is I stay with my parents right now. It's a little suburb outside of Oklahoma City. And what's been really nice about spending time with my family is I'm here by choice, right? I get to have this good, fruitful relationship with my parents as an adult, which not a lot of people can say. And you notice that, I noticed that my dad really wants me to stay here, but he does it he always talks up the state of Oklahoma by pointing out the most banal observations about the state. We look outside, it's like, look at that sunset, my dear boy. Do you get sunsets like that in California? Yes, we're by the ocean. The sun does in fact set in California as well. And it's like, yeah, but look at this magazine. Look at all these restaurants in Oklahoma City. Do you get that in California? Yes. Yes, we can go out to eat in California, Dad. That is very true. And look, I don't hate this place. I like it. I enjoy the people here. But Edmond, I don't want to say Edmond is boring, but for anybody who lives here, the main street is Boulevard. Not anything Boulevard, it's just Boulevard. As if the people founding this town were just like, we got to be like one of them fancy cities. We'll have what's called a boulevard. Wow, that sounds like one of them fancy French things. Or Paris. Well, what do we call this boulevard? I don't know. I'm so impressed. I don't even have time to name it. We'll just call it North Boulevard and South Boulevard. Oh, because of directions? Oh, I was going to name it after Walter North and Harry South, but that's much better. Yeah, but one thing that's about the changing relationship between father and son is at a certain point it starts with them teaching you things, and then you start teaching them things. For example, I remember being a kid and my dad teaching me how to type and like show me how the computer works and how to dial up internet. And now as an adult, I still have to explain to him that a text message is not an email. Right? He'll always do this. Like, did you get my text? Was it a text or an email, Dad? It was from my phone. That doesn't answer my question. And here's the thing. My dad is not a dumb person. He is a radiologist. He's a doctor. He's been practicing what's called nuclear medicine for 5 decades. It's not that he can't grasp the concept. He just chooses not to. And one thing for any of y'all who've got kids, you know this. You ever have this moment where a kid asks you something super adult and you just ignore it and hope they forget about it? When I was a kid, I was listening to an Adam Sandler album and on a road trip, and as my dad's driving with my mom in the front seat and my brother in the back seat, I say, "Dad, what does it mean to satisfy each other orally?" And then he just sort of ignored me. And now it's reversed. You know, I hated the first time my dad asked me what a cougar is, because like a kid, when I explained to him, he's like, ha ha ha, cougar, 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 cougar. And I'm like, Dad, just stop. It's not that funny. You're embarrassing me in front of company. And yesterday, this is true. Yesterday, we were watching Eric Andre's Legalize Everything. You guys know who Eric Andre is?
Yes.
Yeah, I was watching Legalize Everything, and an unfortunate moment came during the show when he decided to say the word bukkake. And then my dad asked me, "Jordan, what's bukkake?" And then I explained it to him, and my dad's no prude, but he responded, "1 woman and 10 guys?" And leave it to the Japanese to take something perfectly wholesome like coming on a woman's face and turning it into something ugly. No, I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding, of course. I will say, as I've gotten older, I've started to kind of move away from thinking porn is necessarily a good thing. It's not that it can't be neutral. It's like, how do I put this? People who learn sex from porn is like if law enforcement officers learned about the law from police academy. It's like, you do understand this isn't real, and if you actually do some of these things, you probably deserve to go to jail, right? Like, a lot of men really don't understand this when they learn sex from porn, because here's the thing. There's a difference between doing sex in a sort of ironic way where you don't actually mean all of the dirty things you say and actually being a demeaning person. It's sort of like Louis C.K. It suddenly became a lot less fun when his character of being a total creep. Turns out that's just him. Sort of like, I used to think Kevin Spacey was a great actor. And then I learned, oh, you've just been the same unsettling creep for 30 years. You're not actually doing anything. And so I'm single, if you can believe that. And dating is difficult, more so during the pandemic. And I actually got my first COVID test yesterday. And I'll tell you, that's not fun. It's not fun. They take a swab and they stick it up each of your nostrils, and it hurts. It's not fun. And I'll say this is the first time in my life that someone has shoved something into a tight, uncomfortable hole of mine and said it's for the good of my health. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then you'll like the rest of this. So I don't like online dating. I think it's very frustrating. So you all know whenever you say misplace your keys and then you can't find them anywhere, and then all of a sudden you start looking in the stupid places it shouldn't be, like the garbage can. That's what online dating is like. You're like, I can't imagine it's here. I kind of hope it's not, but where else could it fucking be? I've looked everywhere else. But honestly, like, for me, the way I date successfully, way better than anyone like me should, is because of the lowered standard that has been set by men for women. It's like, it's sort of like at the point where a woman might go, wow, when it was snowing, he held the door open to my house instead of just locking me out, saying, I own your house now, and leaving me to die outside. What a dreamboat. You know, and my female friends have the worst time dating online. I had a friend of mine, she did the most dangerous thing a woman can do. She had an opinion on the internet. So a guy reaches out because he sees that she identified as feminist. So he says, hey girl, you're a feminist. Why don't we get together and hate fuck over the patriarchy? So she responds to him like a normal human being would and go, ew, that's so gross. Why would you possibly think that's a way to speak to someone? And then he responds like, oh, as if you'd be attracted to me if I was all like, hi, I'm Faggy McNerd Pants. I'm gonna bring you flowers, take you out to dinner, and then hold your hand. With your consent, of course. And I just, for anybody watching, I want to back up here because this dude thought it was absolutely insane, the pinnacle of lunacy, that a woman would be attracted to a man who brought her flowers, took her out to dinner, and respected her personal space. This is why we can't have nice things. Or for another way, why I get to clean up by simply being not a creep. And my absolute favorite insane message a friend of mine got, and by favorite, I mean terrible. I want to remind you, this was his opening maneuver. This was his best foot forward. Hey girl, do you eat ass? Because if you don't, I do, if you're into that sort of thing. And I don't know. I part of me thinks this is creepy and not the way to speak to somebody, but I don't know. I'm not hip. This is true. I used to think twerk meant to tweet at work. I am not somebody you look to be cool. I don't know anything. So maybe this is just how it's always worked. I never met my grandparents. They came from the old country. They passed away before I was born. Rest in peace. Sorry for the next joke that's coming up, Grandma and Grandpa. But maybe that's how they met. I don't know. Maybe this is how it's always been. Maybe he saw her in the old Ukraine and he's walking up to her. It's like, sweetheart, for the purposes of this joke, I've never met him. I assume he spoke like Humphrey Bogart. Sweetheart, you're the most beautiful dame I've ever did see. I've been eyeing you across all night, and gosh, I've been working up the courage to ask you something, and I sure hope you say yes. Do you eat ass? Because if you don't, I do, if you're into that sort of thing. And I don't know, man, they've been married. They were married for like 40 years. So for all I know, that's exactly how it works. Yeah, but you know, one thing that's interesting about being out here, and I noticed I'm sort of running out of time, and I'll close this. And I've noticed that coming out to Oklahoma, one of the first things that happened when I came out here is I was introduced to. I like to wear a lot of American flag stuff, you know, because I'm a first-generation American. I love this country. I'm a lawyer. I've sworn an oath to the Constitution several times. I love this country. I believe in it. And then this guy introduces me to the crowd like, this is the most conservative liberal you'll ever meet. And I'm like, dude, you've seen my Facebook page. What are you talking about? And he says, well, you have the flag and like, you love America. I'm like, oh, Jesus. And there's a saying among drug dealers, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say at least everyone on here does drugs. And there's a rule. You never get high on your own supply. And conservatives have gotten high on their own supply of bullshit nonsense to the point where they don't know how to handle it if they meet you in real life, because they have this ridiculous straw man of what people are. And the best example I have of this, is in 2007, Bill O'Reilly, before he got caught with the whole serial sexual harasser and paying $30 million in settlements, in 2007, Bill O'Reilly of Fox News visited Sylvia's Diner in Harlem. This was a black diner. And what I'm about to read is his real response. None of this is satire. I couldn't get over the fact that there was no difference between Sylvia's restaurant and any other restaurant in New York City. I mean, it was exactly the same, even though it's run by blacks, primarily black patronship. And there wasn't one person in Sylvia who was screaming, MFer, I want more iced tea. You know, I mean, everyone was. It was like going into an Italian restaurant in an all-white suburb, in the sense that people were just sitting there, ordering and having fun, and there wasn't any craziness at all. And the craziest thing about that is he thought he was being tolerant there and understanding, but the truth is he was just flipping out that black people were people. That was the thing that shocked him. It never occurred to him that black people were people. I almost wanted to just listen to him keep talking and see where he went with it, you know, like, and just hear the more nonsense. Like it's amazing. Everyone was paying for their food and not leaving the restaurant. A white woman went in and ordered food and nobody whistled at her. And then I bumped into a fella and he said, excuse me, instead of stabbing me 17 times. And I said, hey, thanks a lot, Shabazz Muhammad. And then he said, get this, for the last time, Mr. O'Reilly, I've told you 6 times, my name is Frank. Frank, that's a name a white person has. My friends tell me that I should be careful with that joke because he tells me, Jordan, do you ever think that maybe you're just using irony to say a bunch of racist shit? And I'm like, oh, I should probably think about that. But one thing I am worried about these days is, you know, we have the coronavirus and there's one side that is not taking it seriously, and that's Republicans. For some reason, a lot of them just believe this is made up. And for some reason, they just don't take this seriously. And I'm trying to think of a way to get them to take this seriously. So I think, hey, Republicans, would it help if I told you this invisible force that kills men, women, and children, seemingly without reason, deeply loves you and has a plan, but he works in mysterious ways? No, see, this is the problem. Republicans are desperate for an easy solution because small government philosophy is dependent on a simple world that does not exist. So they've turned now to a doctor, the one doctor they listen to who believes in that demon sex gets you sick and says that people are secretly working on a vaccine that cures you for religion, which is ridiculous, right? We don't need a vaccine for religion. We already have one. It's called reading the Bible as an adult.
Shit.
No, but I'll close this. I'll just say Donald Trump, he's basically your trashy girlfriend who embarrasses you at parties and says a bunch of racist stuff and yells at you publicly. And you're always this like cuck that's like, well, my girlfriend, she's not politically correct. And, you know, you don't understand what she's like in private. And every time you're getting ready to leave, you're like, oh, you know, honey, I don't like the way you treat me and you don't keep your promises and you spend all my money. And every time you're about to leave, she's like, oh, baby, if you just stay, I'm going to give you the best threesome you've ever had. No one's ever had a threesome like I'm about to give you. Except instead of giving you a free threesome, she just fucks your best friend in front of you. And then you're just like, oh, I love the way you fuck my best friend in front of me. It totally triggers the libs. But I'll just say that, you know, it's pathetic. I don't have a nice word to say about it. I don't see these people in like, oh, this is just a difference of opinion. No, these are people who have been manipulated by Trump because of fear. And the thing with fear, you can only be subject to fear if you're scared of things. And that's what these people are. They have no policy knowledge. They're terrified of everything, and they're too weak to admit that they were tricked by an obvious liar. So, of course, Donald Trump has like a 90% approval rating with these people. Thanks to the Access Hollywood tape, we all know that Donald Trump is great at grabbing pussies. Anyhow, I've been Jordan Parker. Thank you all for the time. Cheers.